Afternoon world, Hippy Trev here. So welcome to part 2 of putting the Dex drag truck transporter together. So I went out, so I had a little bit of a dabble. No, I cannot just put paint straight over black, but with some of these I'll be able to silver pen, I'll be able to silver that, that'd be okay. But as far as doing any other colours, straight over black wasn't going to work. I didn't have any primer, but I did have some grey paint. So I've grey painted the first lot of parts that I need to paint and put together. So they've been drying. So I guess I'll see how I go when I start putting the paint on that and see where it goes. Otherwise, this is going to be a totally black model. So I might be able to rattle can paint these like red or something, depending on which colour I want. So they're your dual. They're like your inside of your dual wheels, so I can rattle can paint over them depending on which colour I want to use. These ones here, these will all be hand painted, so I've just got to see how the paint goes over that. And I still haven't decided which colour. I want to make my engine yet. So anyway, so that's the start of part 2. Catch you a bit later on the build. Bye. Morning, worlds. It's the next day, so I got a little bit along with yesterday's build. Most of the motor is done. I got this far last night, and as I was trying to add bits and pieces, I was just moving stuff around. So I decided to stop. Still got a fan to go on. A few small little bits on the back. Some exhaust pipes. Part of a turbocharger and some sort of crossover pipe. What I'm really liking about this model so far, the parts are good, they're solid, and putting the primer on made it a lot easier to paint. So without putting the grey paint over it first, I wouldn't have been able to hand paint all the parts that I wanted to. So that certainly made a good difference. So only a few little bits to go on the motor and it's done, and then it's on to the next stage. And like I said, I'm just going to plod along nice and slow and just get this job done bit by bit. So the next stage, what is the next stage? Next stage is wheels. And then I got to put the frame together. I'm going to use a set square to get my frame rails dead level and dead straight. Otherwise, when it comes to fitting in everything else after that, it'll be a complete and utter nightmare. After fitting everything else after that, it'll become a complete and utter nightmare. I've learnt that in the early days of when I started doing this 2.5 years ago. I think it was the MPC Mac that I tried to build, and yeah, it was a nightmare. So yeah, I'm going to use a set square to try and get my rails nice and straight, because if you don't get your rails nice and straight, you're going to throw the rest of the build out. So anyway, worlds, I'm just going to plod along, finish the engine off, get to the next stage, build my wheels and tyres, and then look at the next part of what's involved, which is, I think, like I said, the frame rails. Work out what I do and don't want to paint there. Same thing, I might just put a layer of grey over that, and then just individually paint all the parts that I need to. So anyway, loving the build so far. Good quality build, good quality model, really enjoying it, and it's good to put my hands back on a decent model kit again after doing all those rubbishy, fucking cheap late model car kits. So anyway, worlds, I'll catch you later. Bye. Rightio, worlds, so got the last bits of the engine together, and I can tell you it was a bit tricky just to do, like the exhaust pipes each side were a little bit tricky, and then the crossover pipe I had to do there, and with the turbo, a little bit tricky, but all went together really, really well. So very happy with that. So that's the engine part of it done. Wheels and tyres are done. Yes, I've gone purple. So I got my 2 fronts and all my backs. These went together really, really well. The instructions were very straightforward, and so far this kit is going really, really well. So that's all my jewels, they're all done. All my wheels are done, engines are done. I can put them away until they're re-required. So now I'm up to the, so now we're up to the next stage, which is a bit of a love-hate job. you can't see is the chassis there. So I actually use a set square. I think they call it a set square, T-square. I use a set square to get my chassis lined up nice and straight. But the trouble is now, well, the trouble with this one is it's bowed like a fucking banana. That rail is fairly straight, and that one is completely bowed. Now, I don't think they're supposed to be bowed. Pretty sure my frame rails, chassis rails, aren't meant to be that bowed. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take it outside. It's not even sunny today out there. I'm going to have to take it out, put some weight on it, and just literally level the whole thing out before I can make it straight. So I can actually make it straight, or as straight as it should be. See, I'm pretty sure it should be like that. A little bit of a lift there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I might have to take that outside and just leave it outside in the sun and try and get some sort of flatness back to it, because that is literally bent as banana. Now, so what you got to do is you got to put all your cross braces in, which are these. I'll probably cut the diff off, cut all the diffs, and I'll probably cut this section here out, take it out, throw some grey paint over it, and paint them a different colour, because that's what I do. These are all your inner frame or chassis rails. I'll probably leave them black, although I did probably want to mask up here, and because I wanted to paint them, so I might have to work out something, because I want to paint the steering box. But anyway, what I actually have to, before I can do anything else, I've actually got to go out. Sorry. Before I can do anything else, I've actually got to go out, lay this out in the sun or something, and try and get that as flat as I can. Now, that's what I was trying to say. So the rule of thumb is, so I've got a fairly straight rail here. This one's pretty good. I only really need to flatten this one out. Now, rule of thumb is you've got all your cross braces that you have to put in. And basically what you have to do to get your cross braces in is you put them all in, one at a time, on one side only, stand them up, get everything where it's supposed to be, nice and straight, and then you don't touch the motherfucking thing for at least 4 hours, literally. So once you've got all your uprights in and they've been sitting there and glued into position 4 hours, you do not touch this for at least 4 hours with your uprights in. So these are these things I've got to build these. They go together, and I make 3 of these cross braces. They go in their located spots. You have other braces, goes in located spots, and then you've also got some other braces all go in, like these are going to be made into one brace, go in located spots. So they all sit upright here in their located spots, and then you just leave it. Because if you try and join that together, well, these ones here aren't dry at all. I did that, and yeah. Once these are set in place and nice and firm and dry, then you put your next top on, glue them into position. That's where your set square comes in, and then you just square up your rails each side. Make sure they're the same length as they should be, front and back. Then, don't touch it till tomorrow. Just leave it. Just make sure you can tweak it. Just don't touch it till tomorrow. You want that to set rock hard, nice and firm, nice and straight, nice and in alignment, and all these in the right spot and sitting the right way around. And it can take a few times of reading the instruction sheet to get these in the actual right way around and in the exact right slot where they need to go, because they sort of give you arrows of where to go that you've actually got to count down and work out exactly where they have to go. But anyway, what I have to do right now is go out and get this frame rail absolutely level, because I cannot put this together looking like that, because that will just not work. So as you see, look at that, there's a nasty big fucking bow in there. So I'm going to take it outside, throw some weight on it, and see if I can get it to mould into position. So rightio welds, I'll catch you when we're a bit further along. Later, bye. Rightio welds, a few hours later. Didn't quite get the rails bent the way I wanted to, but what I wanted to show you is, at the moment, I've got, normally you do the left-hand side of your rail first. You lay that down, you put it all on, then you put this one on top. Well, because this one's still bent like a banana, and I haven't been able to take that out of it yet, I've got all my fittings. I'm just leaving my knife there for weight. I've got all my fittings in, bar this one part here which goes up here, which ties the back together. I'm going to put that in last of all. This hoop or another hoop somewhere, I think I got, must be outside, to go underneath, which is going to tie the front end together. So what I'm going to do now is just going to wait for all this to dry. Do not touch, all this to dry. Keep a bit of weight on here. Try and keep this flat. So when it comes time to install this side, it's just a matter of lining up and hopefully straightening, and it should all go nice and easy. But that's why we don't touch it just yet, because it's still too fragile and all this can move, especially these parts here. So I'll put something under that. So that's where we are at the moment. I've got a heap of parts outside. Oops, I'll put that under here. I've got a heap of parts hanging up outside that I've gone over with grey primer, a very, very light grey primer, so my colours should come through pretty good. Once I've got all this frame rail together, I'm actually going to primer this and paint this again, just to hide all my gluey mistakes, because there's quite a few there and they're quite noticeable. It's so different. You fit the part, looks good, put the glue on, go to put it together, and for some reason it slides sideways, or it doesn't just go straight in, or it's not the same, and then all of a sudden you've got mess everywhere. So I'm gonna, hit it with some primer and put some nice paint over it and hide all my little gluey mistakes. So anyway, this is going together really, really well, this kit. This is a really good quality kit, I keep saying, but it's going together really, really well. And I'm just slowly plodding along and taking my time, and I've got no problem with that at all. So righto, Oz, I'll catch you a bit later when I've got the two chassis rails together and probably in prime. So righto, Oz, catch you later. Bye. Well, it's another few days later, Worlds. I've been pretty slack and not really getting to much, but I've got a little bit further on. A few things on the frame rail. And my steering's crooked. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know whether it's because of the bow in the chassis rails. I mean, I've got them straight, but that steering is completely skew-if. Must have moved on me when I was putting it together. It's pretty much stuck. Oh shit, pretty much stuck there now. Yeah, that really sucks. That steering is so crooked. Got my battery box on, a bit of exhaust dump and a couple of things. Note to self, never try and hand paint your frame rails once you've already glued them all together by hand. And with that particular paint, I used so much paint, it came out looking rather crappy. So what I should have just done was just rattle can painted the whole frame rails once I put them all together, but I decided I wanted to hand paint them. So anyway, we're slowly getting along there. I've put all my suspension parts together, painted up the diffs, a few more parts painted up. They're about to all go on now. Fuel tanks, a little bit of, didn't paint them, just a little bit of chrome trim put on them. So rightio, well, still got a fair way to go, and I'm just taking my time and doing it slowly. So we'll catch you later. Bye. Rightio, well, it's yet another day, and this is definitely turning out to be a very slow and somewhat painful build. But this is where we're at. So, engine's in, fuel tanks are on, battery cradle's in, radiator's on. I've literally just put my exhaust stacks on, they're only just holding on. I've had this bumper bar fall off a million times and keeps going back on, but hopefully it's on this time. Final stage for part 2 is I've just got the air cleaner cap to go on there, and that'll be part of stage 2 done. Now, this is getting very hard to handle. Now, what I've done, I tell you what, when you fuck up building a model and you fuck up the way I do, it's going to bite you in the ass big time down the track. Well, it certainly has this time. Now, when you're dyslexic, you don't know, or you don't, when you're somewhat dyslexic like I am, you don't just read numbers back to front and read letters back to front and put words in all the wrong spot. You actually see pictures upside down the wrong way around. Well, God knows how I get anything built, especially with AMT destructions. They are not the best and they're not very inclusive. So, where were we? Way back, when it was time to install the diffs, that's the picture they give you there. It's pretty straightforward. I installed the diffs and thought I had everything pretty much right. Go to put the engine in and join the tail shaft up, and well, my tail shaft is somewhat shy of the back of the gearbox. Now, why would that be? Well, the reason that would be is I put the fucking diffs in upside down, and this drive box there should be up on this side and up higher, which probably would have given me enough length to get back into the gearbox. But because I've put the diffs in, not back to front, but because I've put them in literally upside down, the tail shaft no longer reaches. So what happens is when you're putting your parts together and you're not quite sure, but you think you've got it right, when it comes to quite a few stages down the track, which is what I am now, because I've got the side suspension on, I've got all the other bits and pieces on, the thing that you fuck up way back then really comes back to bite you in the arse now, and that certainly has come back to bite me in the arse now, because the tail shaft no longer lines up. Same as with the front steering is somewhat crooked, and that came in the beginning. I did have my frame rails straight, but for whatever reason they were towed in here and completely wrong, and it's only since I've put the radiator in that they've spread apart to the right. So what I should have done is put that radiator in a long time ago and had my front rails set in the right position. I guess that's why they want your bumper bar on first. But anyway, there we are. At this stage, I'm going to call this the end of part 2. The model's getting quite heavy. The only thing I've got to do to finish stage 2 is put the wheels on, which I'm not sure I'm going to do straight away. Chrome cap on that, and then that's pretty much total end of stage 2 or part 2, and then it's literally into building the cab, getting the cab on, and then it's literally into building the back deck where the drag truck's going to sit. Oh my God, this has been somewhat painful, somewhat slow. It's definitely taken me quite a long time, and the reason it's taking a long time is because all the parts, oh shit, there goes the tail shaft again. A lot of the parts are really heavy, so it takes a long time before your glue sets, before you can add more parts. Now I found that out when I was doing my steering. I kept going back and I'll just add that one more part, and of course it fucked up the whole steering. Same thing when I was putting the exhaust pipes and everything together. I didn't quite wait for the glue to dry, and I thought I'd go back and just add a couple of more pieces. And then as you start adding the pieces, other pieces start falling off and you end up in total disarray. Sort of happened with the diff as well. I was putting the diffs and that on, even though they're in upside down and the wrong way around. I was trying to add a few other pieces, and as I'm adding other pieces, bits and pieces fall off. And you just end up with glue everywhere, you end up with mess everywhere, and you end up with complete and utter fucking disaster. So it calls to put the wheels on now. I normally put things like wheels, bumper bars, and that on pretty much last because of the handling of the model. So I don't even know if these are going to fit. So let's have a go at putting some wheels on and see how we look. Right, that's one set of wheels. I guess I can take these off if I feel I need to. I'll probably end up gluing them on so they don't fall off. The wheels are going quite nicely actually. Right, there's all the jewels on the back. Let's put the fronts on. It's very hard to handle the model now, it's getting so big. There we go. Rightio, we've got all the wheels on. Starting to look like a truck. I'm somewhat happy with that. Oop. Like I said, I'll probably have to glue the wheels on because they just keep falling off. And I'm not sure I want to put the wheels on just yet anyway. But at least you get an idea how she looks with the wheels on. There we go, they just keep falling off. So when I'm ready, I'm going to put that back on. So when, there goes the back jewel. Yeah, okay, so these are not going to stay on. Most people don't glue them because they want their models to roll. I don't care about rolling models. I just want them to stay how they're supposed to look. And okay, without any more, oh fucking hell, talk about the wheels falling off. I'll definitely have to glue them on. Give them a bit of a more of a push actually. So what I was trying to do was get round to this side and show you if the wheels are on. So there we go, wheels are on, exhaust stacks are on, motor's in. Rightio, so actually overall, even with that steering a little bit crooked, it's actually looking pretty good. So a little bit frustrated a few times, totally pissed off I put my diffs in upside down, so like, that's dyslexia for you. It really does affect you in that sort of way. So I've just got a couple of little things to finish off there, which is I've got a chrome cap to put on there. And then we get to start on the cab. And I'm not going to paint the cab. And the cab's going to go there somehow. That's the tub for it. And sleeper. I'm interested to see how that goes. So that's the next stage, building the cab. And it is, that's a huge cab. Whether I'll get any highlights on it or not, I'm not really sure. So, rightio, well, so that's where we're at. This is the end of part 2. Motor's on, frames painted poorly, wheels are on, diffs are in upside down, and the tail shaft doesn't reach the transmission. When I fuck up big. And when you put these models together and you make a mistake early on in the build, it will come back and bite you in the ass big time. So, rightio, well, that's the end of part 2. We'll catch you a bit later on as I go further through the next part of the build, which is the cab, and then putting the back tray on. So, rightio, well, catch you later. Bye.